Hi, everybody. This is Ion Springfield, where we'll be settling once and forever whether The Simpsons have really been going down in quality or not. We'll chart it. We'll average it out. We'll plot it on a nice graph and do a PowerPoint presentation on it at the end, whenever the show ends. I guess whenever we catch up to the present, or whenever we finish all the episodes. Yeah, so this is hard data, hard incontrovertible evidence.
I'll be using a pie graph because, I like pie.
And not just any, we won't just be reviewing episodes, we'll talk about anything Simpsons related.
Do you think it's been going down in quality?
I do not think it's been going down in quality.
Would you say it's been getting better?
I don't know.
Or is
It's
it
definitely
consistent?
not getting worse.
You think it's just consistent?
Yeah.
I was of the opinion that it had gotten bad, but because I wasn't going into it with an open mind anymore at some point in my life. But then when I started watching it again with just keeping an open mind, I actually think it's been getting kind of better.
Well, I don't think it's because you've kept an open mind while watching it. I think it's because a lot of times people stop watching it and, it's not good anymore. But I haven't watched it in the last 5 years.
Right.
Or more.
Right.
Well, then how do you know?
I run into that a lot. Like people at my job, at my place of employment, they'll tell me, well, the show sucks now. I haven't seen it in 10 years, but it's garbage now. How can you make that assumption?
So this will be, once we settle this will be settled. Like, there will be no debating from now on.
When somebody can say to us, hey, I've watched each episode, rated it, graded it, found the average, then they have they can debate us. They'll have reason to debate us.
Plotted the rating versus time.
Right.
On a nice graph.
That's exactly. And whatever time that'll be, they have no argument.
You'll be able to publish this in a peer-reviewed journal, science journal, when we're done. It'll be that hard science.
It'll be first page news on the Springfield Times. I'll tell you that much.
And we're here discussing the first season of The Simpsons. Let's start off reviewing the first episode, Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire.
So here's a brief synopsis of the episode. The Simpsons have to spend their Christmas money removing a tattoo that Bart got at the mall. Homer takes a job as a mall Santa but only gets $13, which he and Bart bet at the racetrack. They put the money on a dog named Santa's Little Helper, whose odds are 99-1. He loses and gets thrown away by his owner. The Simpsons take him in and Christmas is saved.
The first episode, very poorly done episode, to be honest with you.
Animation-wise, not story-wise.
Oh no, the story's great. The story's it's fantastic. Well, I don't know about fantastic. It's a good story, but yes, the animation is cruddy, and you can obviously tell that the animators didn't know what they were doing yet.
Have you ever seen any of the Tracy Ullman shorts?
Oh yeah, I remember the Tracy Ullman shorts. Yes, I'm that old. I remember watching them with my older brother.
Wow, because I've only seen the ones that they've shown in the 138th episode Spectacular. I forgot what the name of that episode was.
Well, I don't remember them, I can't sit here and tell you them each one, but I do remember watching them. They were, they really caught my eye, it really caught my attention, and when the first episode came out, I remember being very excited to watch a full 30 minutes instead of, a few seconds before and after commercial break. That was very exciting.
Actually, I remember the first time I watched this episode, but I thought it was something, they were going to start something new like the Halloween specials because it's that Christmas special. I didn't know it was the first episode.
I don't remember if that's what I thought. I'm too old to remember what I was thinking at the time. But actually, when I seen the episode, I thought that the show had already started and that that was their holiday special.
Oh, did you know that actually other episodes were planned and this one wasn't the first episode, but they had to they rushed it to air it?
Oh, really? I didn't know that. What I recently found out also was that Fox wanted them to do 15 or not 15, but 3 short episodes, 3 short stories per episode instead of a 30-minute show. That's
Yeah, I was looking on the Simpsons wiki, I don't know, Wikipedia thingy, and there's a crap load of shorts that I've definitely never seen.
okay. So let's start with the opening of the show. So Homer and Marge, they're in this auditorium and they go through what every parent has to go through and sit through a bunch of other classes before your kid gets to perform. Now, speaking from
Have you actually done that?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have quite recently.
How many classes had to go before your kid?
That's the worst part. My kid was one of the first, and we had to sit through the entire thing, which was brutal. Have you ever heard a bunch of little kids singing? It's not good. It's not America's Got Talent, George. I'll tell you that.
So do you remember at the end of the episode where Bart says that if TV has taught him anything, that the racetrack is where the miracles happen? So then they lose everything and they don't win and no miracle happens. But then a miracle does happen.
Yeah, that ticked me off. That really ticked me off. Not as a child, but as an adult. Because I'm thinking, yeah, they're finally... that's
it's finally
life.
a realistic
That's life,
show,
yeah.
right? Where they have money problems, and so they sort of have their cake and eat it too by being able to like criticize TV, but then they are TV.
Well, that's what's made them a staple, I guess. They criticize TV, throwing a jab at themselves, like in the later episodes, in the Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie, where they bring in Roy. That's still one of my favorites. All right, Mrs. S.
So, do you remember any of the reaction that like the parents had to The Simpsons?
Well, I remember my parents' reaction. They didn't like me watching the show. They did not approve of it at all. And I didn't get it because my parents don't speak English. So what about the show don't they like?
Yeah, I don't know how old I was when I started watching The Simpsons. I guess it goes towards that The Simpsons.
Well, I was pretty young. I want to say no more than 7 years old. I was definitely not older than 7 when I started watching The Simpsons. Is that right? Is that the right math? Let me bust out my calculator. Yeah, that's right. I was about 7 years old when I started watching it. Do you remember how old you were when you started watching it?
Nope. But I do remember hearing a lot of the reaction that the parents had. Did you know that President Bush, said something about The Simpsons? I forgot what it was.
Was it positive or negative?
Negative. He said we should all be like the Waltons?
The Waltons?
Or not the Waltons. Some family on TV. And more like them and less like The Simpsons.
I think we should be more like The Simpsons.
I think that too. Some of my cousins weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons because at some school meeting they told them that The Simpsons is bad, and then they weren't allowed.
Yeah, some of my cousins weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons either, but that was because they don't have a TV. You know, they're from a very small town, and I don't even think they knew what television was at the time.
Like when they were criticized that, oh, the show's so bad that... Well, first of all, let's get back to the beginning. Did you think that this episode was bad? Well, I mean, in terms of bad language, bad stuff. I didn't think so. It's in fact, for The Simpsons, it's pretty tame.
Yeah, the first episode is tame. They aren't as bad as they got, but they're not that bad.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
The jokes are... The adult jokes, you're not going to get them as a child. Because a lot of the jokes I got were as an adult watching reruns. They went completely over my head as a child, so either I was really dumb, or the writers are very clever.
I remember watching that 70s show and not knowing that they were getting high.
How old were you?
I was like 10, 11.
During that 70s show?
Well, when it started.
God, I'm old.
No, when it started. So you were like 15 then.
Wow.
Do you think you'd show the Simpsons to your kids? Do you think they're too vulgar? Simpsons are too vulgar to watch?
My Simpsons, my... Noticeably FAT, rewind that tape. My kids and I watch The Simpsons every Sunday night before we go to bed. Actually, I personally own the Simpsons seasons that are out on DVD and Blu-ray, and every Sunday before we put them to bed, we watch some episodes, have some popcorn, sometimes cookies and milk. It's very fun. I enjoy The Simpsons with my family. It helps that my wife doesn't speak English, so she doesn't really know what's going on. But like I said before, I don't think The Simpsons are too racy for my kids.
No, I don't think that either. Yeah, and shows have only gotten more, quote unquote. Today, The Simpsons, nobody bats an eye. The Simpsons is like the most normal thing in the world, even though back then it was considered.
Well, look at the other characters that are out now. Family Guy they take it to a complete other level. That I wouldn't let my kids watch. Not just because it's
yeah, I wouldn't. If I had kids, I wouldn't let them watch because it's a bad cartoon. Not because
yes, it's a terrible cartoon.
Not necessarily because of any of the jokes, which unless because they'll grow up having a bad sense of humor.
I like that. What else do you want to talk about? You want to talk about how Bart was more of a bad boy back then than he is now?
Oh yeah.
I think he's not a good kid by any means, but definitely he was worse at in the earlier episodes in the earlier seasons. I think that's what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to pitch Bart as the face of that cartoon, because the first Simpsons merchandise I remember was Bart Simpson's face everywhere on T-shirts. Everything. All the merchandise was based on Bart, and I really think Homer has taken over. And yeah, Homer's definitely the star of the show, but even the supporting cast has gotten very popular.
I agree.
So, did you notice anything? What did you think of the episode overall?
It was okay. Not.
It was okay. I guess you sound like that kid from Blocko Land.
It was. It wasn't the best Simpsons episode. It wasn't the worst.
At the beginning of the episode, when Homer and Marge go to the Christmas show at the Springfield Elementary, was that Ralph dressed as a Japanese priest that acts like Santa? Because he sounds different.
And he sounded smarter.
Yeah, that's another thing I noticed from this is that Homer doesn't seem as dumb as he does now. He kind of seems like he's trying to be handy, just dad with lots of bad luck.
With lots of bad luck, Andy is kind of dumb.
Not as dumb as he is now, though.
I guess not.
Wait, so before we move on, what did you give the episode? What do you give the episode in terms of story? From 0 to 10, 10 being great, 5 being average, and 0 being worst episode ever.
I would give it a 5.
You give the story a 5?
Because it was an okay episode, but it wasn't anything special. Besides that, it's
it
the
was a
first
Christmas special.
Yes, but besides that, it being their first episode, it wasn't.
Well, I gave it an 8 for story because I think it was an important part of the story, and I like the story. I like the tragedy.
Yeah, I want to change my score.
Well, you can't change it now.
No, I'm sticking with a 5. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad by any stretch, but it was.
I gave it a solid 8, and I gave it a 5 for hilarity. It made me chuckle. It didn't make me laugh. So what does that average out? What does that average out to, Matt Damon?
Divided by 2, 7, 6.
6.5. So I give this episode a 6.5. I, Armin Tamzarian, being of
sound mind.
Yeah. Okay, so I give it a 6.5, and Timmy O'Toole gave it a 5.5.